Hello, I am Charles Ciota, a student at the Tuck School of Business. It is my pleasure to be here with Glenn Britt, President and CEO of Time Warner Cable, who's going to talk today about the future of video and its battle for platforms, profits, and people. What advice would you have for someone interested in starting a career in the telecom industry and maybe at Time Warner Cable?
Well, first of all, I think for somebody who's an MBA, it's a fascinating business, and it is intellectually fascinating. And I'll talk about cable, but telecom is similar. We have a business that is it's capital intensive, it's technology intensive, and it is changing. Technology is changing rapidly. We're labor intensive, so at my company, we're about a $17, $18 billion company. We have 46,000 employees and another 5,000 to 10,000 contractors, and those are mostly blue-collar people. So there's labor issues, there's leadership. Those are the people who take care of customers, and if we don't lead them well, they're not going to do the job well. So that's a part of the business. We're highly regulated, so that's a whole dimension. So and obviously we're marketing intensive and we're competitive, so we pretty much have all the dimensions you might hope to find in a business. So I think as a career it's pretty interesting, and I think it's a business that is, I don't know how to say this right, but because it's an infrastructure business, it's located where it's located. So it's not a business that we're suddenly going to find that there's much cheaper labor in China and it's all going to move offshore. So I think in a career sense, that's something to think about too. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, definitely that answers it. And I mean, my last question would be, what is the biggest professional challenge that you face right now as a CEO?
There's two challenges that I want to talk about. The first is that we used to be, 15, 20 years ago, we were in one business, the business of selling more television, and although in the legal sense we weren't a monopoly, we essentially were the only game in town if you wanted to buy that. We now have evolved to a much more competitive business, and I think we still are learning how to do that. And I think kind of the ultimate is being able to compete like the packaged goods companies compete. If you look at a company like P&G, everything they make is pretty much a commodity. But they do a wonderful job of imbuing those products from brands with emotional meaning that cause people to buy them. And I think there's a level of marketing sophistication that you don't find in the telecom business or even the media business for that sense that we need to grow to. So to me, our biggest challenge is completing that evolution. I think we're a lot different than we were a few years ago, but we have a long way to go. The other problem, I think, is finding younger people who are entrepreneurial. And I say that because when I came out of the Tuck School, I got into the cable industry because it seemed interesting. And it was a very formative time. The industry was very small, and I was very lucky because at a young age I was able to get a lot of responsibility. But also I got to invent businesses and parts of businesses, and it was okay to do that as a young person because there was nothing there. So let's go try this, and if it doesn't work, we'll go try something else. As companies get bigger, it's hard to retain that spirit, and people tend to go work in a particular function and they see their career in that function perhaps, and they don't get as broad an experience, and you lose that spirit of let's let's look at the world around us. Let's try to invent a new business or a new product. And you know what? Maybe it won't work, but let's try it anyway. And I think I want to bring in young people in our business that have more of that spirit. Because otherwise we'll just get mature and stagnate, and that's what I don't want.
Great, Mr. Britt. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.